everyone. Hope you guys are doing so good today. It is getting hot out there. I don't know where in the world you are, but I can tell you everywhere I've been this summer so far is just getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and I'm sweating, y'all. But that is not going to stop me from having a good time with each and every one of you today. As always, I'm Riley, and this is Sex with Everyone, and I interview folks along my travels about their sex lives and sexuality and everything wonderful within all of that good stuff. So today I am interviewing Buddy in Gilbert, Arizona, and we talk about his exploration into the lifestyle. And lifestyle just kind of means non-monogamy and is more akin to swinging in Arizona. That's just their nomenclature for it. He also talks about some of his childhood trauma that he experienced and how that's affected him within the romantic relationships that he's had moving forward in his life. So yeah, I do want to give a trigger warning that he does talk about some graphic trauma that he witnessed as a child, but it is over fairly quickly within the first, I think, like 15 minutes or so. So just a quick warning about that. But regardless, it is a fantastic conversation and we talk about so many different things. And so I really hope that you join me as I talk about sex with Buddy. Hey, Buddy. How you doing?
How you doing, Riley? I'm doing good.
Good.
Peachy.
Yeah. When I told you about my podcast, you immediately were like, I would love to do that. Can you tell me why you were so immediately interested in doing an interview for this?
Well, I mean, I'm an avid podcast listener. I feel like it's a great medium for learning things. I think that a podcast is just a great medium to have unadulterated conversation with people.
Yeah.
Opportunity to learn.
Yeah, for sure. And that's exactly why I love doing this, because it is, like you said, a very good way of learning. And this topic in particular is very near and dear to me because it's something not talked about a whole lot. And I really appreciate you being so open and willing to participate in this.
Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So I know, practically nothing about you. I would love just to hear just a general synopsis of who you are and what your story is in regards to your sexuality and sex life.
Well, I'm from Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of family background. Had mom and dad until maybe roughly around when I was 8, and they divorced, and I went and lived with my mom and stuff. I guess maybe I should preface actually prior to that, as far as sexual history, if I'm really thinking about when I kind of discovered my sexuality, I think it happened at a very young age.
Oh yeah.
And I'm always kind of curious. I don't know if maybe I witnessed something or, I really don't know, but I think that I've always been sexually driven from a very young age. I remember I had Cabbage Patch dolls. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, mm-hmm. and I was trying to get blowjobs from a Cabbage Patch doll.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
I know.
Unfortunately.
No, I don't think they were made for that.
But I tried.
Yeah. So what was it like being so young and trying to discover this part of yourself that I can only assume your peers were not that level? Was that something?
Well, it's funny that you say that because there was almost a Brady Bunch kind of family that were in the townhouses that I lived in. And it was a mom and a dad. They got together and they had kids from prior relationships. So they both brought about 4 kids or something. They had a lot of kids. But there was one that was my age. So I think I would have been about 5 or 6. So I hung out with them a bunch, just in our townhouses. The kids that lived there were basically my friends until, I made more friends at school, but they live there, so they're more accessible, right? Mm-hmm. So I would predominantly hang out with kids that lived in our townhouses. And I remember one day I go over to these kids' house and there's a girl there. And it's kind of hard to really like judge how old she was. I think the oldest boy in the family was maybe 11 or 12 or something. She looked like she could have been 13 to 16. Like they were making sexual advancements on her, but it was warranted. Like she wanted it. Like she was into it. And I don't know, like, I guess even at a very young age, like I always felt like attracted to women. Even my kindergarten teacher, remember one time I was in timeout and I had my like head on the desk and she like leaned over and I got to see the tits. I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
So I never really went through like a cootie phase.
Yeah.
You know, like I was always into women, but with that story with those boys, so the two eldest boys like took that girl into the bathroom and locked the door. I don't really know what happened. I wanted to be a part of it. Like I it's weird. Like even though I was probably like 6 years old, I felt like I wanted to have like a sexual experience. So the kid that I'm usually buddied up with, he was like, "Hey, let's go upstairs." So we go upstairs and his mom basically had like a Hitachi, you know, and he's like, "Look, you can put this on your dick. And it feels awesome." So like I was having orgasms from a very young age.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is wild.
Yeah. And how do you think, if at all, that has affected your childhood, being sexual at such a young age? Do you think that changed your relationships with the girls that you played with or anything like that?
No, because even at school, it was maybe in the like third grade, maybe I had like my first like kind of like school girlfriend kind of situation. And you might kiss or hold hands or something like that. I mean, nothing serious. And I mean, it seemed, all that seems very basic. Like, I don't think, I mean, maybe if given the opportunity to be alone with a girl, things might have changed, you know, but it's just somebody that like you see at school.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Tee-hee.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I don't think it necessarily changed anything about me, but I guess I just knew from a pretty young age that I always wanted to have sex.
When did you end up having sex for the first time?
I was 14. So it was going from middle school. It was like this summer. I'm going from middle school into high school. I think I met this girl who was like a friend of a friend. And I just remember not knowing. Like I thought that I would know what to do. But like maneuvering around and figuring the whole thing out. I was like, oh my God, I'm a fucking dummy. And also I think my nerves, I was so like nervous or whatever about it that like I couldn't climax. I couldn't come.
Oh really?
Like, the first couple times I had sex,
man.
I couldn't.
Oh man, and especially when you've been like coming with yourself for so long at that point.
And
Did you?
Like
was that like
all I wanted?
Yeah,
well,
right.
I just wanted sex with sex.
Did that like really fuck with your head?
Well, I remember I was over at a buddy's house, and I think he was having like a birthday party or something, and he had an older sister. And by this time, we were freshmen in high school. And we had like this party, and it was all fun. And when we were ready to like call it a night, there was just a bunch of dudes sleeping all over the bedroom. So it was just kind of uncomfortable. So I had a little rapport with his sister. So I knocked on his sister's door, and I was like, "Hey, is it cool if I crash out on your floor?" She's like, "Yeah, that's cool." She's like, "But could you give me a massage?" Bust out the lotion.
What?
Yeah.
She knew what she was doing.
She knew exactly what she was doing. So yeah, so then we ended up hooking up, and I remember asking her, I was like, "Have you ever came before?" Because I hadn't. So she's like, "Yeah, plenty of times." And I'm like, "I don't know what I'm doing wrong."
Yeah. And she wasn't able to make you that time?
I don't think I did. I think it was another instance of me like just being too in my head.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Coming is such a head game.
Oh, totally.
It really is. And yeah, first times are always like, it's really nerve wracking.
It is.
And awkward. Yeah. Like, cause you don't know what you're doing. And yeah. How is it now for you coming? Is it still difficult sometimes?
Well, I mean, it would maybe depend on like if there's inhibitors, like, you know, was drinking a bunch or something like that.
Right.
But also sometimes that can be fun.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm like, if I can please my partner swiftly, I'm all about that. That's fun. But sometimes like a 1 hour, like hour and a half romp or something like that is also very enjoyable.
Oh, so yeah.
I think it's like how we had mentioned, it's like a head game. I think you can kind of mentally like de-escalate the sensitivity or whatever that you're feeling sometimes, which can, you know, you can use to your advantage.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's interesting too, like as I'm getting older and my friends are getting older and I have friends of all ages and everything, I've noticed that with men, a common thing that I hear is as they get older, they're less focused with getting off like as quickly as possible or whatever. And or just can't sometimes because their bodies are changing and, you know, all the things, and hard-ons aren't as reliable as they once were in their 20s. And so they find that their sex changes because it's not all about coming anymore. It's about like being much more present with the partner and realizing that like sex can be so much more than just this one action, you know, within that. Yeah. And I think that's fascinating of how our perceptions of what sex is changes and evolves. I just love that.
I do too. It's interesting because, you know, it's this instinctual thing that we have in us and a desire that we have, but we also take preventative measures to not reproduce. So like, I think it's that instinct is there to, you know, have offspring, but it's just something that feels so amazing that we're like tricking our bodies. Like, we're thinking we're doing the thing that like the function, like why this happens in the first place. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's kind of silly, but that
is funny. I've never thought of that before.
You know?
Yeah. And like, so we have condoms that don't feel as good and are definitely like prohibitive to extra like sensations and stuff, but it's purely to reduce the reason that sex is a thing. Yeah. I think it's fascinating how sexual humans are compared to animals, most other animals. Yeah. We don't have like mating periods. We're always horny, you know, and it's just a thing to do for fun instead of only for procreation. I don't know why that is, like why we evolved that way, but it's fascinating.
Well, I mean, it was definitely just, you know, I think at times our species was very limited on the planet. So I think it's very sensible that we have this urge to do this. So we can procreate and just basically take our steak as another, whether it's bacteria or it's animals or us, you know, it's like every like creature or, you know, cellular thing, like they just want to make more.
Right.
Plants.
Right.
Same way.
Right.
You know?
Right. So you had mentioned earlier, and it's okay if you don't want to talk about it, but you had mentioned that you have like had trauma in your past. I would be interested in discussing that because I think that's something that is often not talked a lot about, for obvious reasons. Yeah. Because it's fucking difficult. But I feel like so many people have sexual trauma in their life, and the way that it affects us can be massive. So if you're comfortable,
Yeah,
I would love to be able to discuss that.
You know, my parents were always very loving. They weren't always necessarily the best to each other, especially like more so my dad. Like one thing that is, it's kind of like stained in my mind and my thoughts. Like I can reimagine this time when my parents were like in a scuffle, and I don't know, my dad was just trying to like control my mom or whatever, but he had like his hands on her arms, like near his shoulders, and for whatever reason he like pushed her up against this it's kind of like this closeted area where we had our washer and dryer, and I remember her head smacked against it, and it was all like white paint, and her head started bleeding, and there was like, you know, this blood on there. And I was like, you know, you don't really, I mean, I had never seen anything like that between my parents before. It was definitely like caught me off guard. And it's like, even at a super young age, I might've been, who knows, like 4 or something. Yeah. But I knew it was wrong. Yeah. And I mean, growing up, usually, especially for boys, like, you know, a lot of times parents want to instill, you know, the way that you navigate being a boy and becoming a man, and these are the do's and don'ts. And, you know, I felt like I was always taught to respect women and don't hit girls and things of that nature. And I think like after that, like I always like vowed to myself that I would never be that type of person, and I would never be like physical with any of my partners, you know, like figure out a way to de-escalate the situation or walk away, even if they're, you know, getting, like handsy or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah. How do you think that's affected your relationship with your partners at all?
Well, I would say in more recent years, like I've had partners that are into like more like pain things, or they want to be choked, or they want their hair pulled, or, you know, those kind of things. It's a little more forceful. And I always aim to want to be able to please my partner and explore different avenues maybe that are like unknown to me, you know. So I know when it comes to that kind of play, it's not something that I get any pleasure in aside from pleasing my partner. Yeah. But you know, like maybe like the first partner that I was with that, you know, wanted me to either like choke her kind of hard or I think that that's what it was. Like she wanted to get like choked kind of hard or whatever. I remember like attempting to do it, but it made me like break down and cry. And because I felt almost like I was going against the thing that I promised myself that I would never do.
Yeah, even though she was asking for it.
Yeah, even though she was asking for it.
Yeah.
And I think like kind of like relive those images, you know, in my head. And like, even though they're two entirely separate and different situations, it was just I think a case of like trauma bringing itself back up. Yeah. So that was, you know, that was something to work through. I think even today, I'm still very weary. Like, I mean, I know what I'm capable of doing, and I don't ever want to take it too far. You know, I do want to please my partner if that's something that they enjoy, but, I mean, it's not something that I do like all the time. Like, I guess I don't want to make a habit of it. Yeah. Because maybe I'm a little maybe scared with the thought that it might change me. And like, what if I start thinking that that's okay?
Yeah. And then doing
could it go too far, you know?
Yeah. That's hard. I mean, that's hard to untangle within yourself, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like there's been those slight difficulties with that, but I mean, oftentimes like I really want to look at the bigger picture and be honest with myself and be able to kind of like have that pep talk that I know like what's happening here is completely different.
Yeah.
You know, and I should be able to, if it's something that my partner requests, like should be able to kind of like tap into that and not have it be traumatic for me.
Yeah. I'm curious why you feel like you have to should on yourself like that, though, if that's not something that you're should on yourself of like, you know, I should be able to do this for my partner because it's what they're requesting. Like when it's something that you genuinely are not interested in doing because it's
everybody has, you know, their boundaries, and there's like, I'm okay with drawing a line in the sand for something I'm just absolutely not interested in at all. Like I said, like if my partner likes that, like I want to please my partner. I get pleasure out of pleasing my partner. I feel like that's something that I can do, you know, even be, you know, a little rough, and that's okay. I mean, I would never want to bring it to I don't know, like a brutal level or whatever, but it's not necessarily like should be able to do, like I want to be able to do it, you know?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's good to hear that you're respecting your own boundaries also within that, instead of pushing yourself too far when those kinds of requests, you know, come up. Yeah. Yeah. Because you have to like respect yourself in that too. Right. You know, I mean, sex is always like a 2-person experience. Well, not always 2 people experience, but you know what I mean? Like it's, I gotcha. Yeah, it's not a one-sided experience, where one person's like desires matter more or something. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, no,
if it was something that I felt like, I don't know necessarily if it comes down to like morals or whatever, but if it was that far like out of my wheelhouse that it really made me feel that deeply uncomfortable, like by all means I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. And are you in the lifestyle here?
Yeah, well, you know, kind of. Yeah. Like I had a partner that was interested in doing that kind of stuff, but the relationship just kind of got rocky. I don't think that we were able to kind of find each other's boundaries or kind of like accept our needs and wants. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like as a single person and being in, you know, going to like lifestyle stuff, like that's been good. Or if I have maybe, you know, a friend that we have a sexual relationship, but we're not like necessarily together and we have no intentions of being like an item or, you know, like boyfriend, girlfriend or something like that. Like it's fun to like bring people like that to an event. So, you know, if we want to play around and with other couples or whatever, you know, like you can do that. But you know, it's interesting because I mean, I can take it or leave it. Like monogamy is cool with me. Lifestyle is cool with me. Like initially like getting into it, it was, I think it was just something that I wanted to explore. It's this like, I guess I would compare it to like maybe, you know, you go to an ice cream parlor and you want to try all the flavors. Like, I don't know what I do and don't want if I don't try things, right?
Right. Yeah. So for those that don't know, and this was new terminology for me as well. So in Arizona specifically, y'all use the word lifestyle. But in most other places that I've been, at least, it's always like different terminology of like non-monogamy, polyamory, swinger, open, you know, stuff like that. But here specifically, everyone uses the term lifestyle, which I think is interesting.
I think the branding on swingers has like a kind of like a not necessarily negative connotation, but a little bit, when you hear the word swingers, you kind of think of like unattractive nudists or something. Yeah. And I think that, I don't know who was the fucking brilliant person that came up with lifestyle. Yeah. But
it's a little more all-encompassing too, which I appreciate. Yeah.
I will say, like, in that community, it's I mean, actually, like, people do really well for themselves, you know, and they take care of their bodies, a lot of them. Like, you know, they're fit, they're in shape, they're attractive. So I think that when you hear the word swingers, that like the image that it paints in your mind, is not very flattering.
Yeah.
So they're like, let's call it lifestyle.
Yeah, let's change it.
Yeah.
We got to rebrand ourselves.
Yeah, we got to rebrand ourselves for sure.
And is BDSM or kink mixed into lifestyle very much here, or are those more separate like circles?
Well, at gatherings, oftentimes there will be that option.
Yeah.
You know, like they will have some like kink stuff.
Yeah.
If people want to explore that, they can.
Yeah.
You know, I think like whatever kinks that people have, it's not that like BDSM necessarily has to be associated with it. It's kind of just like different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And is it difficult for you to be around kink happening at all? Is that triggering for you?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
As like, I almost think about it in a sense of kind of like going to like an aquarium or the zoo, where I get a glimpse into, you know, what turns other people on. I know that it's not anything that I definitely do not want like any kind of punishment or anything on myself. Like I don't associate like pain with pleasure.
Right.
If my partner so happens to be into it, I've kind of like, I guess maybe work through the hurdles of being able to accept that and not have it torment me or make me feel bad or anything like that. It was just, you know, it's like you take your baby steps, right?
Yeah,
and ease yourself into it until you find comfortableness. But no, I've been to a lot of fetish events. One of my really good friends, she's a dominatrix. And, you know, I've gone over there and done like photography and video at her dungeon.
Cool. Yeah.
And it just doesn't bother me at all. I don't think of it as like anything else.
That's so interesting. How is it photographing and videoing the kink happening? Like, what's your experience like kind of being on like the other side of the camera and not participating? Honestly,
like I think of it not necessarily just as a job, but like I couldn't necessarily like find myself aroused even if I'm like shooting stuff for somebody that's super attractive, and you know, it could be any kind of different scene or whatever, but my mind is in the work itself, you know, making sure that the scene looks good and the lighting is right, and making sure that I'm minding my P's and Q's when I'm doing that. So yeah, I just think of more or less the job at hand, and that hopefully doing a good job, like, you know. Yeah.
Cool. When we were talking earlier, did you say that you have an OnlyFans?
No.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay.
No, I've just shot for other people's.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that's what you primarily do for work?
No, I have a landscaping business.
Oh, okay. So you just do a bit of this and a bit of that?
Yeah.
Right. I would love to hear like one of your favorite sex stories.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I'm trying to think. I think I was with this group of people. We all went out for the night, and then we came back and had like this after party. And there was maybe 5, I think there's 5 women and maybe 3 guys. And we all started getting into like group play. And I had done some cocaine, so my dick was definitely not getting hard. But I actually kind of like that, because I know that I wasn't going to focus on myself, and I could please these other people that I was like super attracted to, you know? So even though like I didn't actually have intercourse or regular sex with anyone, I definitely love cunnilingus and like love going down on girls. So it turns me on, even if my dick doesn't want to get turned on. But it was, I don't know, like, it seemed like we were all on a certain frequency, and everybody was like very nurturing and caring for each other. So it was kind of like a beautiful thing.
That's lovely. I love that you just picked out your favorite sex story and is one where you weren't having like classic like P and V sex. I really appreciate that. That just makes me really happy.
Yeah, no, honestly,
I think that's rad.
The biggest smile on my face the whole time. I was like, wow, you know, like these people are super attractive, and there's the like conversations that we have in between, and nothing that was forced. Everything was, you know, very consensual and passionate, and even throat fucking with, you know, like my buddy that was there, you know, like, oh, I'm going to take this beautiful woman and put her head at the edge of the bed and fuck her throat. Yeah. But she wants that. Yeah.
It's just so happy.
Yeah. It's cool.
Oh, that's rad. Do you have a lot of experiences like that in Arizona? Like, I mean, because of your friend circles or, you know, being in the lifestyle? Or?
For sure. I mean, even not, I don't think when I was in high school, but as a young adult, maybe I'm like when you turn 21 and you're going out to bars and stuff like that, like I had threesomes with like 2 dudes and a girl a few times. And then with, you know, with a couple of ladies, and, I guess maybe things that are outside of like the normal. I've always kind of felt like kind of, excited or intrigued by it. So like, I mean, I would prefer to have 2 women over like 2 dudes and a chick, but I mean, honestly, like some of the threesomes that I've had were they were so seamless. It was just like magical moments when it wasn't just about the fucking. It was about like the connection.
Yeah, yeah. And how I'm curious how those happen for you. I feel like a lot of people have not experienced like group sex before, even though that's like a common like fantasy for a lot of people. Like, how do you make that happen?
I think it makes it happen. I don't really like plan sex. You know, like even if I was dating somebody, if we're like, all right, well, tomorrow night we'll get together, we'll have sex, like that, it kind of spoils it for me. Yeah. I like the spontaneity of it, you know, like it should just be something that comes up. So I never go into any of these things with any kind of expectations. You read the room, you know, like what's the feeling here? Yeah. You know, if it's right or if it's not, you know, people are going to kind of like give off those signals. Yeah. So like going into it, it's, you know, it's not something that you're like, well, and now this can be different for different people, like especially within the lifestyle. If it's a couple that are seeking another woman or something, it's pretty much like on the table in a sense. Doesn't necessarily have to happen, but they're kind of like getting together with this thought in mind that we're going to do that. Right. I mean, if I'm with a couple girlfriends or whatever and they hit it off and they want to include me, it's kind of like on a whim or, you know, just however it happens. But man, I sure do love when it does.
It sounds like you're straight. Is that right? Okay. So what is it like to be in, you know, threesomes or group sex with other guys when you're not into that or, you know, attracted to them in any way? Is that weird, or was that hard, you know, when you first started having group sex?
I think when I was young, it wasn't like sex was necessarily like talked about so much in the household. I think maybe I would have been a little bit more comfortable, like maybe with my body or being like naked in front of people, if so. So that kind of came to me a little bit like later in life. I think that like for me personally, like I've always kind of tried to expose myself to things that make me uncomfortable, in the hopes that I'll be able to learn something from it and take something from it. Right. So there was definitely, you know, a period in my life where, I mean, like everybody's going skinny dip and it's like, I'm not, you know, and, just over time, I got more comfortable in my own skin, and it's like, I've seen a bunch of my guy friends naked, you know, like, so I don't think about it. It's not, we all got bodies, you know, and it's fine. Like sometimes you're like, well, good on you, bro.
So it's not weird at all for you to like
not weird for me.
Be in that space with other guys. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's I don't know if it's necessarily like I'm like desensitized to it, but it doesn't. I know like some people are so strongly, maybe they're not necessarily like homophobic or whatever, but they probably have either, it could be religious beliefs or whatever, that would prevent them from feeling comfortable in those situations, which I mean, I totally get. I know where my interests lie and I know what I'm attracted to. So it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And with having like so many, it sounds like you've had a lot of sexual partners over the years. Do you like get tested for STIs regularly? Yeah. And do you have like those conversations before you get into those spaces with everybody? Yeah. How was like the learning process to do that for yourself?
I don't know. I think I kind of learned like early on, like, like if you're not using any kind of protection that, if you're with a partner, somebody you don't know or what have you, like that, it's kind of your responsibility to get checked, make sure, everything is good with that. Generally things are safe. Or, I guess some people might just say like, no, I'm good. And I mean, you could take their word for it or not, but it's like, if you ask and they're going to lie to your face like that, it's like, I mean, that's not a very quality person. So
no, definitely
luckily I've never had that issue.
Yeah. I mean, do you trust their word or do you ask to see their paperwork or like how far do you take that conversation?
I can't recall ever like asking to see somebody's like credentials or whatever on that. Yeah. I don't know if that's something about it kind of feels like it's rude maybe.
Oh, really?
But it really isn't. It's your health, right? Yeah. Like, so, I mean, by all means, like, I don't think that I would have a problem asking for that, but I don't think I would necessarily like really ran into that before.
Yeah. And how often would you say you get tested?
Like it would depend on with like if I'm with a partner or not.
Yeah.
Because like if I know I'm in a monogamous situation with somebody, then probably not going to do it. It would more or less be like if I felt like something was off with my body or something like that, then, I would go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always fascinating to me to talk to people, especially people like in the lifestyle who tend to have more sexual partners, how they take their health and how they go. Like everyone does it slightly differently and everyone's like thoughts on what is safe sex. Everyone thinks about that slightly differently than others. And so I find that really interesting.
I mean, people are like in the lifestyle, like if you're at a place with people, like there will always be like condoms and stuff there, so it's like, a prerequisite.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For me, it was very difficult to learn at first how to preemptively have those conversations with new sexual partners and stuff, because it's something that like is seen as like a mood killer or whatever. And it's been interesting, especially talking to more people who are not in the lifestyle. They never have that conversation. They like, in my experience at least, like when I bring that up, they're like almost like taken aback by me like wanting to talk about like sexual health and stuff.
It's not rude, it's responsible.
No, it's very responsible, but it was like it was definitely like a challenge and a learning curve for me to be the one to preemptively bring that up, because I came to realize that the other person like never would, and so it's like, you have to take on that responsibility for yourself.
And I mean, I would say, even if it is a quote unquote mood killer or whatever, it's just better to hash that out before.
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. You said that you're single right now?
No, I have a girlfriend.
You have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay. So where are you now, and where do you feel yourself moving towards, or is there anything that you want to like explore next, or do you notice yourself like kind of in any evolution right now?
Well, it's interesting because when I was with my ex-partner, I really wanted to like explore the lifestyle and see like what that scenario is about. You know, I'm attracted to so many different people, and you get really cool vibes with people, and for them to be open enough that, you know, we can like swap partners or share or have these experiences with each other. Like there's like I don't know, like this, like excitement or something to it. Like it's fun and new, unexplored territory. And I would say, I guess maybe with my previous partner, when I met her, it was at like a lifestyle event, you know, and her and one of my other girlfriends were like hooking up with each other with like a strap on and stuff. It was very, very, I mean, awesome to see, you know. It's like, and it was like the first time hanging out with her, but seeing how comfortable she was around, like, we didn't even really talk to each other the whole night, but at the end of the night, we kind of just latched onto each other and we had our moment together. So given that I wanted to explore the community, I thought that maybe I had met the person that I'd be able to do that with. So going into it, you know, like she had stated to me, like, I don't think that I could ever be in a monogamous relationship. Those things kind of like changed, you know, and rather rapidly, you know, and I think it's just sometimes when feelings get involved, you know, they can deter or hinder those kind of things. And, you know, I wanted to be respectful of that, but I still felt like these were things that I wanted to explore, and I was hoping that this was going to be the partner that I'd be able to do that with. Yeah. You know, so, you know, when they say sometimes like you kind of got to get that out of your system or whatever, like, I mean, I still like group play and things of that nature, but my current partner, like I've taken her to LS things where she's seen, you know, like people fucking at a house party kind of situation. And I don't think that this ever, it hadn't been something that she's been exposed to. So I kind of armed her with that. I was like, hey, you know, if at any time you feel uncomfortable, we can go, you know, but I want to let you know ahead of time, like what can be expected at events like that. And, you know, she saw it. She doesn't feel like that's for her. You know, she I think would probably have like either jealousy issues or just feel uncomfortable like seeing me with another woman. And I can respect that. And I feel like my needs are satisfied with her. So I don't know. I think, interestingly enough, it can be certain partners that you might want to have those kind of engagements with, and other ones that you're like, oh, well, I don't have to, you know?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
It just depends on how, I guess, how your spoons get full.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are my needs and wants getting validated? Like, is this person able to fulfill, you know, what I want? And maybe sometimes it's like you could be with somebody that you see like long-term potential with, but maybe some things that you want to explore or do, they don't want to do. So I guess you got to ask yourself the question, do I want to deny myself of things that I want or feel like I need just to appease, you know, this person? Or would it be better off if I found somebody that I can fulfill those things with, you know?
Right. Yeah. And like you were just saying, like lifestyle definitely allows for more desires to be met because you're able to play with other, more people. But also like there's something to be said for a partner that the kind of relationship you have, even though the sex is fucking phenomenal and your needs are met, but you guys, maybe your partnership also revolves a little bit around like exploration and like the joy of getting to try new things with new people. And like, that's not necessarily to say that they wouldn't satisfy all of your needs, right. But your connection also thrives on like exploration and like newness too.
Sure. I feel pretty comfortable with my sexuality and like exploring things, whether it's like, buying lingerie, buying toys, or whatever. Like, we got so many buttons. Let's figure out which ones need to get pushed.
Yeah.
Right? So I like that, and I like to have that intimacy and in like a non-judgmental plane for us to figure each other out. I would say with my current relationship, I feel often more times it's something that I'm probably going to present. I think I would be excited for her to be like, oh, I saw this toy, I want to get that. But more or less like, hey, I saw this thing, I think you might like it. But everybody's different, you know, and I don't expect that of my partner, but she's definitely open to the idea of it. So, that's cool. Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys use toys now together?
Sometimes.
Yeah. What kind of toys do you use?
It might be like a wand or like maybe like a vibrating cock ring. The one, it hasn't worked out so well with that though, but only like very minimal things. I feel like we should have an arsenal. Like a whole fucking toy chest.
Yeah.
She got to witness shibari, and I think it kind of piqued her interest.
Oh, cool. I was like,
hey, we can try this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Might be something you like.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
I always appreciate when people are willing to continue to explore, and especially with their partner. I feel like sometimes can be a little too easy to kind of get into a rut with like your sex life with like a long-term partner. And so I find like getting to be able to do new toys and try new things and be open to like learning something new, like shibari, can like revitalize a lot,
I mean, intimacy is such a huge factor in a relationship. And I think if things start feeling like they're getting stagnant, I think both people are going to start feeling like uncomfortable, and maybe sex will be less prevalent in the relationship. And it's like, who wants to sign up for that?
Yeah, for sure.
Like this person I'm like not only attracted to, but I enjoy their conversation and the experience of doing things with them. Like, I mean, why are we not knocking this out of the park? Like, why are we not having the best sex ever?
Right. Do you have a favorite sex act?
Well, my girl happens to have a big ass. And I would say, I love doggy style, but oddly enough, even though I think I love the visual of that, and I know that she does get turned on by it, and it feels good for her too. We've kind of like found the positions that work better for us as far as like reaching climax. So it's like, as much as I like want to bend her over and just look at that big beautiful ass, it's actually not a position that we necessarily do like all the time. Yeah. And with that being said, it's kind of funny because I know like how much I'm into it, but when we're doing it, it's almost like, oh, it's almost, I don't want to say like passing time or whatever, but it's just like, we're just going to do this for, a little bit, and then we're going to probably get into a position where we know we're both going to come.
Yeah. Yeah. So sex is your favorite sex act. Yeah. I know some people like really love getting head, or really love, like anal really turns them on or whatever. So
no, I mean, if she would let me put it in there, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's gonna happen. It's not like a deal breaker for me.
Obviously,
I don't care because also, thinking like, well, I know myself personally, and I might not be the biggest person, but I'm fairly well endowed. So I also don't want to like hurt my partner or cause discomfort in a way to where they're just like, it's totally off the table.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, I expressed that and I'm very honest. Like, and it's something to just like joke about it. Like, butt in your butt. And it's like, no, I'm not. I don't want to be rude or forceful or anything like that. But, you know, I think maybe over time as you're, building in the relationship and you're bringing in toys and stuff like that, might be an opportunity down the road.
Yeah, totally. So you do normally like anal?
I will. We were kind of like loosely talking about that before, that there's something, I don't know if it just seems like it's naughty or taboo or not, but I don't like, I love ass. I love that view. I love like the view from the back and seeing the vagina and asshole. And I'm like, I don't know. I want to fuck that. I don't know why I feel so compelled to want to do so, but I do.
Yeah.
Can't explain it, but it's there.
I mean, and is it a different sensation for you? Like the experience between vagina and ass? Like, do you notice a big difference of sensation?
I think when it really comes down to it, vagina is better, but ass just seems like a fun thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need more reason than that.
Like, does it have like a more like constricting feel, or it's like tighter or something? I don't necessarily know if it does. Like, I guess maybe in some cases, but I think it's more about like what seems like maybe the naughtiness or whatever about it that I'm attracted to, or maybe also it's not something that's commonly done. Like, once again, like I had said about, I needed to experience the LS thing to know like, oh, is this something I absolutely have to have in my life or not? I mean, I think that I've never been with a partner that was open to doing anal on the regular. So it's probably one of those things where I want to explore more, I have done it with different partners and stuff, but
just not regularly and like building up
regularly
that kind of
I think about like the body of a woman and the pleasure receptors that you guys have, knowing like, I mean, some people some people absolutely love it, so like I had asked you earlier, like, oh, if you're getting stimulation from both like vaginal sex, anal, and clitoral stimulation, I was like, I could only imagine like, that's gotta feel fucking amazing. It's incredible. For those that like it.
Yeah. It's overwhelming to say the least.
I think not in a conquestual way or anything, but it's just like, if I could provide my partner with that kind of satisfaction and stimulation, like, I mean, that seems incredible.
Yeah. Well, have you ever considered using a strap-on? Like, because you can wear a strap-on, like,
I know what you're
at the same time, so that
right.
you could DP,
right,
on your own with your girlfriend.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm open to whatever, but the partner's got to be
of course.
Of course. She's got to want to explore that. Yeah. And I feel like there's probably entry-level toys that you want to start with to kind of explore that.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody's unfamiliar with anal, like, you definitely want to start smaller. And dildos are great for that because they come in all shapes and sizes. Yeah, exactly.
And I guess you also got to take into consideration, some people, depending maybe on how they were raised or whatever, that might have like I don't know, maybe a negativity, or it seems weird or it seems bad or something. Not that I necessarily get those vibes from my current partner, but like with like being honest and open about things, I could maybe foresee her at some point being interested in it, which would be cool.
Yeah. So you asked me this earlier, and so I want to ask you this now. Do you have anything in regards to your sexuality or sexual experiences that you have some level of like embarrassment or shame around?
Well, when like growing up and being a boy, becoming a man, there's like, there's the bros, and there's this thing where like, I think most males definitely go through like a conquestual stage in their life where they're just trying to fuck. Well, not only are they trying to fuck, but they're kind of like trying to impress their boys,
right?
With like, oh, check out this hot chick that I'm hooking up with or whatever. As I got older, I saw that doing conquestual things like to impress somebody, that shouldn't be part of like your sex life. Like it's just what do you want, or what do you feel like you need? And I've noticed like exploring different body types and ethnicities and sizes and shapes. Like I feel like I'm attracted to different things and different people, and whether that person might not be someone, the fellas, like you wouldn't brag about to the fellas or whatever, you learn something, or, or you have just, a great experience, with those people. So no, I don't feel like that any like secrets necessarily, or things that I feel shamed about, but there was definitely things that, things that maybe if, your buddy found out you were with, more, heavier set woman or something, like, bro, what's that all about? Whatever. And it's like, well, you know what? This is what I found attractive about this person.
Yeah.
And we had a good experience with each other. So it's like, I'm not trying to impress you like that. Who gives a shit? Yeah. And also those kind of like toxic mindsets, I've just completely disassociated myself with people that even have that kind of mindset,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a very, I don't know, empty or shallow way of living.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you were saying, like you're doing it just to impress the boys when they have nothing to do with your sexuality or sex life anyway.
It's so weird that as a young man, like that's the experience that I think a lot of boys have, Yeah. It's always about like, how to, gotta impress the gang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the chick I went with?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I do feel like something, I guess it's something for whatever reason. It's like kind of satisfying to me. Like I've been privileged enough to meet very attractive women that are into me. And I do like going to a function with, my partner on my arm. And I sometimes like, when you enter a room, a party or a bar or something like that, there's like, damn.
Yeah.
And it's like, it makes me happy. Like, I guess I gotta be like proud. Yeah. I'm proud to be with this person, and I'm like, I'm stoked that they're a baddie.
Yeah. That's rad.
Is that shallow?
No, I think I don't think that's shallow. I think that's being proud of who you're partnered with. But
is it not superficial though?
I mean, I guess it depends on
where the pride. Maybe where the pride comes from. I'm proud to be with a person because I like this.
Right? Yeah,
person.
That's exactly right, and you're attracted to them.
Do I also like the fact that maybe I find this is very common with like artists. Like I'm a musician as well, and oftentimes we would be like very like self-deprecating. So maybe the fact that I might not always necessarily like I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm comfortable with who I am. I know I'm not the most attractive man, but then again, like people are attracted to different things. So who's to say?
Yeah.
But anyway, maybe I might have this maybe like thought of who I am or whatever, and you know, they say like, oh yeah, like maybe he's a 6, but she's a fucking 9.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I don't know if that's like an ego inflation type of thing.
Yeah.
Like I've definitely had to check myself on the shallowness tip and stuff before. Like I've definitely was like met girls that were, you know, super attractive, and you know when people say like out of your league, like that's like, oh, like I don't even know what the fucking chick is mean. But what I learned from that is the looks aspect of it. It doesn't equate to anything if there's no substance in the relationship, and if that's like some person that you can't, like somebody that you want to be around and hang around. Because like I had dated, I remember, you know, in my early 20s, like there was like one of these women that were like maybe like a model or whatever like that, super attractive, but I just didn't like who she was as a person. And like once again with the boys, you're like, hey, where's that chick at? And I was like, yeah, I'm not talking to her anymore. They're like, what? Yeah. Why? Yeah. And I was like, because I don't like who she is. Sure, she's stupid hot, but that doesn't mean anything to me if I can have a conversation, engaging conversation with her. Like there's just so many other things the other boxes that need to get checked for a partnership, like somebody that I would like to have a long-term relationship with, you know? I mean, definitely. If it was just a fuck thing or like a hookup thing, that would be definitely different. I always felt like, you know, one of those things about kind of like the LS community is, I think like if I'm approaching it with a partner, that I don't have any emotional attachments to the other people that I'm playing with. You know, my time is invested in my main partner, and it's like, I'm not going to be going on any dates or any of these things, but if we're at a party and there's going to be a fuck fest, like, let's have a little fun. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. I think to your original question of like, is that shallow if I still like am prideful of like who's on my arm or whatever when you go out, I think it's all a matter of intention at the end of the day, right? Like, where is that stemming from? Is it because you know she's a 9 and you want to show her off? Or is it because you think she is so radiant because you're in love with her and she is your partner? You know, regardless of what she looks like to you, she is the sexiest thing in the world. Yeah, you know, definitely. And that's why I think that's not shallow if it's coming from that place. But if it's coming from the former of, you know, look at how hot my chick is, bet you wish you were me, then that would be a more shallow experience. So
yeah, I guess that's kind of like the fancy car type scenario too. Like, look at me, I drive this.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm not really a car dude, so.
Word. Yeah. But also, like, to your point as well of how you don't want to be dating somebody, no matter how attractive they are, if you can't like have a good conversation, if you don't like their brain as well. For me, I've noticed that no matter how hot someone is like initially to me, when I get to know them, if I think that they're not a good person or, you know, whatever, not my speed, they will like physically change in my eye of like their attraction. So they could be a fucking supermodel and I may think that they're the ugliest fucking person in the world if they're an asshole and degrading to others or whatever the case is.
There could be the adverse effect too.
Yeah. And so the exact opposite.
Not necessarily be physically attracted to, but getting to know them and seeing all the layers or getting to know those layers, there's something peeks out. Yeah. And you're like, oh, well, no, I really like this.
You are so fucking sexy.
And then they have you see them in a different light.
Yeah. And you literally, exactly. And so then you would be proud to have them on your arm when you're going out, you know, and having date night or whatever. Right. And so like, it's not, I don't
feel like the necessity of like having this like arm piece or like this trophy partner or whatever. I guess I don't find it a necessity. I do like it though.
Sure. Yeah.
The way that I feel, you know, about that partner, like we could take pictures of people that are attractive, statistically or whatever you want to say. And you and I are going to see is what sticks out to us, right?
Right.
So regardless if it's the epitome of what people say, like this is like a Megan Fox or something like that, you know. But there's also girls there's also males and females that look at a Megan Fox and they're like, oh, like that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
that's exactly right.
So.
I mean, it just goes to show that there's someone for everyone, right?
For sure.
Like everyone is interested and attracted to different things based on a million factors in their life and the experiences they've had, right? And just because you find somebody like wildly gorgeous, like I may not, you know, and that's okay. But I feel like we all are really hard on ourselves with our level of feeling attractive, because we're told by like media, you know, this is what beauty standards are, right? And so that's what we think everyone finds to be beautiful. And if you don't fit into those boxes, then you're not attractive. But the reality is that no, there are tons of people out there that find you to be the most beautiful thing in the world. Yeah. Regardless of whatever your physical attributes are, because they are into specifically that thing and find you sexy as shit, because we all have such different tastes.
Exactly.
And I just wish that people, myself included, weren't so hard on themselves trying to like live up to some like unattainable
that's a societal thing though.
Yeah.
You know, like we're always presented with oh, you got to be youthful, and you know, there's certain things that I guess are the prerequisites of being attractive. And I mean, hence the reason why, you know, so many people try to enhance their bodies or like change things, you know, about them to be more appealing. But I don't know, like, I really am, and like, by all means, if it's something that's going to make you happy and you want to change something about it, like, I'm never going to judge anybody for that. I like a natural kind of, I like a naturalness to people, you know? Yeah. There's just something to me that is, it stands out to me, or it's more attractive to me.
Yeah. Well, buddy, I really appreciate you doing this with me today. It was cool, like, getting to connect and just being able to do this spontaneously. I just really appreciate you just like being open and willing to hang out and chat.
Thanks for having me on.
I really love the conversation that I had with Buddy today. I thought it was really interesting. You know, I'm polyamorous, and obviously I have a lot of friends who are non-monogamous in various ways. And it's a conversation that I've had many times with a lot of different people of whether or not their non-monogamy, do they consider it a choice or do they consider it an orientation? And clearly here for Buddy, he considers it more of a choice. He can be non-monogamous with a partner, with the right partner, but he's also seems to be very happy being in a monogamous relationship as well. And I find that absolutely fascinating, especially because for me, it's an orientation. It's a non-negotiable in my world. I am absolutely polyamorous, and that's not going to be changing for anybody anytime soon. And I'm very happy that way. And so I can't see myself in a monogamous relationship. So I just always find that really interesting when how sometimes some orientations can be more optional for some people than others, especially when it comes to relationship styles. So anyway, thank you again, Buddy, for being awesome and joining me today for this, because I thoroughly enjoyed myself. The next episode, I will be talking with Lynn and Gabriel in Tempe, Arizona. Lynn and Gabriel are some of my very favorite people. I haven't known them very long, but we really get into an excellent conversation. They've been married for 30 years, I believe, and they've been venturing into non-monogamy together in the last 4 or 5 years of their relationship. and how that's going, how that's been, especially after having a full family and having several kids and just kind of being on the other side of being, empty nesters, and what that experience has been like for them and getting through it together. So I really hope you join me in 2 weeks when that episode comes out. As always, if you want more content, because 2 weeks is just too long to have more of this goodness, you are always welcome to check out my Patreon. It is patreon.com/sexwitheveryone. And that is a place that you can get more backstories of every episode photo that I do, as well as my very own sex diary entries, as well as seeing pictures of my travels, if that's something that you're interested in. So there's a lot of cool stuff over there if you just want more of all of this. So again, feel free to check it out if you feel so inclined. But regardless, I will be seeing you in 2 weeks' time. Don't you sweat it. I love you all. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. And as always, stay awesome, friends.